Welcome to the Studio Chat podcast, the podcast designed to be your companion in the journey of self-discovery. I'm Barbara Thompson, your host, and a dedicated therapist. I'm the founder and owner of Self-Care Studio, a private counselling practice. With my clients, in courses that I create, on this podcast, I am committed to ensuring that you have the support that you need. I created this podcast as a space for you to feel a sense of connection and a reminder that you're not alone in this thing that we call life, this adventure. This podcast is your weekly reminder to trust yourself, live life authentically, and embrace the path that is uniquely yours. Together, we'll explore ways to break free from people-pleasing, overthinking, allowing you to claim your time and energy to live life on your terms. You'll be joined by myself as I take you through some episodes, or during the year, I'll have some special self-care experts as guests on my podcast. So if you're ready to step into a life that's truly for you, join me on this journey. Let's navigate the twists and turns of life together, and more importantly, live your life for you. So thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with me today. Let the Studio Chat begin. Hi guys, welcome back to the Studio Chat podcast. Today I'm going to be speaking to someone that it's really nice to speak to a fellow counsellor. We're heading down to Victoria, and we're going to speak with Laura Petrie today. She's a counsellor and a coach. Can you just share a little bit about as a counsellor and coach what you do?
Sure. So I'm a fairly new counsellor and coach. I've been seeing clients for just over a year. And most of my clients tend to be women, probably 30 plus, a lot going through life transitions, stress, anxiety, overwhelm, burnout, that sort of thing, divorce and separation, or just people looking for more joy in their lives. They're just not happy with the way their life's looking. There might be loss of identity, and they're just looking to improve their life day to day. So I see clients online and in person in Malvern. Really love what I do.
Yeah. How did you, and as a counsellor, sometimes we kind of find ourselves doing this. What was your story to do what you do now?
Yeah, I guess it started when I was a child. I was that typical girl at school that everyone talked to about their problems, and it didn't burden me, it more energized me, and I loved listening to people's stories and pulling it apart and helping them get some clarity around what they needed. And in high school, I studied psychology, which I loved, but I was way more interested in being social in high school than being academic. So I didn't follow that path. I went into the corporate world and worked in there for 20 years, but always had this pull to work with people, and decided a few years ago that I wanted to jump into it. So I looked at psychology, I looked at mental health work, and I thought counselling suited me best. So I did a counselling course and a coaching course, and I just love it. After every session, I'm on a high. I love hearing people's stories and witnessing change and, supporting them along the way. So it's been amazing.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people hear when you're a therapist or a counselor, they go, how do you do that? How do you take on hearing people's stories and taking on their big emotions?
Yeah, and to be honest, when I was studying, I don't know if you were the same, but I did wonder how I would cope with that, because even in my social groups, I do tend to be the person that people come to and talk about what's going on for them. And depending on how heavy that is and how close I am to that person, you can feel drained and concerned and stressed and, around that. And I did wonder how I'd go doing that as a job and seeing, back-to-back clients. But I've been really surprised at how easy that's been, not to take on the issues. I'm sure you're the same. I certainly think about my clients between sessions.
Yeah, I do.
Constantly in my head, I'm like, how did she go with that? And how did he go with this? And how, has he done what he said he'd do? And questions like that. But I don't tend to emotionally take things on. And perhaps that's because I've put systems and sort of plans in place around how I manage people. But I think because you don't know them and you're not emotionally invested, I think it's a little bit different.
Yeah, and we're doing a job. So I think, I can resonate with that. Being a counsellor, I have had like I said to you before, I've had the toughest week with big emotions and big things happening in people's lives. And it has affected me more than it normally did. But normally I don't. I feel really great. I feel fine. I can switch off. I always think of them and wondering how they're doing for sure. And we did the same course too. So I remember in the beginning of the course thinking, how am I going to put all of this together? Because you learn about body language, you learn about when someone shares something with you, you analyze it, and is it a paraphrase, summary, questions, open-ended, close, like all these type of things. And I was like, how am I going to do all that?
But I think, most people that come, I'd say all people that come to counselling, because they do have that personality and they're empathetic and they have been a problem solver and a cheerleader and a people person. And a lot of that, even though we've now got the language around what that is, reflective and all the rest of it, I think we all do it fairly naturally anyway, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. Just with the assessment, you had to tick the box,
I know. It was stressful.
Very stressful. So you've always had it in you. It's been something that you always like hearing people's stories. What I'm hearing is it really energized you and you really want to make a difference in the world.
Absolutely. And I think, the other thing is that as we all do, I hear the same thing from most women in their 40s, is that we're all sort of suddenly in a place where we've got more self-confidence, we've got a lot of clarity about life. And we've all had obviously some trauma and some lessons and life experience. And I've certainly gone through quite a big personal development journey myself. And I just see so much low-hanging fruit. There's so many little things that I tweaked in my life, and now I've got this life that I absolutely love. So when someone comes to me and says, there's this big mess and I'm unhappy and I don't know who I am and I just want to be a bit happier and live a different life, I find it so exciting to be able to just plant a few seeds and see change immediately. It's amazing.
You had a good win with a client this week too, which I think is just amazing. Like you give them the tools and you see someone in front of you say things and you see the joy in them. Even sometimes I have clients that say, oh my God, Barb, you'll be so proud of me. I'm like, no, it's not me. Like this is you, but that's a common thing that people go, oh my God, you'll be so proud of me. I'm like, would be so proud of yourself. I'm your biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, no, it's incredible to witness. And really, we're just a vehicle, aren't we? We're just here with a bit of a toolbox and a bit of a mirror and somewhere that they can safely talk about their concerns or their dreams or their fears and be able to work through it. Because in their real life, often you can't be that vulnerable with people in your life usually.
People don't have time for it. So when they book that time with you, it's that time that's scheduled and they can just talk all about themselves.
That's true.
Think about all of themselves. A big part of, I think, what makes a good therapist is someone that has lived a life. Someone that knows. So when you're a therapist and you're sitting with someone, I think it's such a huge, kind of think it's a must-have. You've gone through stuff, you understand pain, you understand grief, you understand heartbreak. Did that help you move towards being a counsellor? As you said that you went through some self-development stuff in your life. Did that help you push towards, right, I've seen the change that this can make in my life, I do want to help others?
Absolutely. I think on two ways. So firstly, I've come from being the least confident and least self-assured person in the world. I was massively struggling from a confidence point of view and self-esteem point of view when I was younger, and that impacted my entire life. So doing all that personal development, I know who I am, I know how I see the world, I know what I like, I know what I think about things. But also, like you said, going through that massive change, I'm like, anyone can do this. I hate seeing people in pain or unhappy or overwhelmed, because I'm like, you could actually fix this really easily. So absolutely sort of, even though that seed was there since I was a child, once I'd been through my own journey, and I'm like, you can actually change your life, and you can change your relationships, and you can change the way you see yourself, and you can change your career, and whatever you want to do. I'm like, I need to share this. I need to help other people make positive change in their life.
Thank you, because what I'm about to say, there are so many people I see on social media that say talk therapy doesn't work, and here's all these other modalities, and then I look at them and I go, because I myself, I'm open to everything. I think a good therapist would be like, here's all these modalities, but talk therapy done in the right environment works, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
I suppose this is why we do what we do. So of course you and I are going to sit on here and go, it works. We're not going to go, it doesn't work.
But I would challenge anyone to disagree with that. I mean, I'm very aware that if I have thoughts and feelings in my head and in my body, it's often really hard. I know something's not sitting well, or I feel hurt or rejected or angry, or whatever the feeling is, but I can't articulate why. And it's not until I have a chat with my sister or my partner, or, it might sound nuts, I don't know if you do this, I talk out loud to myself sometimes.
I think I've done that my entire life. So I'm really not. I think everyone talks to themselves.
Yeah. And I just think getting emotions and thoughts and feelings out of your body, whether that's telling someone else or journaling or whatever it is, it helps you get clarity and articulate things so much better. When it's inside you, it's just such a mess, And so talk therapy, you've got someone there who's qualified, who, like you said, it's all about you. It's not a friend where you have to, oh, this is what's happening with me. Enough about me. What about you? The entire situation is built for that person to share and to grow. So, I don't think anyone could argue with us on that.
Well, hey, give it a go. But I think with talk therapy too, what I find a lot with my clients is, how we say things out loud, and it's most of the time it's an automatic pilot and it's habitual sayings and words and beliefs we've picked up from other people. It's interesting that when clients have worked with me for a while, they roll their eyes and go, oh, I did that thing again. So it's like, I hate this, or I am broken, or I am useless. Or how many times people will share something with me and they go, oh, I'm going to say that I actually heard that. I hear that this is the most number one thing I hear. Oh, this is going to sound really stupid. Do you hear that a lot?
Yeah.
This is going to sound really stupid. And then they go, blah, blah, blah. And it's that real, can't think of the word, like shitting on yourself. I'm just going to put it in Barbara terms.
Yeah.
Real self-hatred talk, the beginning of that. And I hear that a lot. And so as talk therapy, what we can do is I go, sorry, what did you say? And they'll say it, I'll go, sorry. And they'll look at me like, I've told you 3 times. And then when about the 3rd or 4th time, they go,
yeah.
Oh, I said I'm stupid. I went, yeah. How often? I had to get you to say that 3 times before you registered what you were saying. So
absolutely.
How often do you think you say that a day?
And then how often are you thinking it if you're saying it that many times?
Yeah, that's right. So that's, okay. So you've been through, like, you've lived life. You've always had that natural ability to be able to hold space for people, not take the energy on, which is very rare. Not many people can actually naturally have that talent to do that. And then I think one of the reasons that you specialize in is divorce. So women that have either going through it or have been through it. I went through it, and when I went through it 12 years ago, whatever, the thought of even talking to someone about it wasn't even on my radar. It's so interesting, me just reflecting back, because I'm thinking when I went through that, there was no discussion of, do you want to go talk to someone? I think you need support, or
that's really interesting. Do you think that was because you saw it as a almost something to tick off, just to move through?
I think the whole divorce thing really consumed me, as in it made me feel so low and so broken, and that I can't, like, there's something wrong because I can't commit, like, not like everyone else. It didn't work. And so
Yeah.
that real hatred, that real
Sense of failure and
and the pressure of society that, oh my God, you got married and now I'm just like my parents, which is something that I never ever wanted to be, just like my parents. And so it's that whole just moving through it and signing the papers and just doing the thing
yeah.
that I was consumed with. Honestly, not even in my, when I say radar, I'm not even like in my universe did I think I need support, or maybe I should go
Wow.
to talk to someone, because it wasn't, well, in my world, wasn't, no one talked about that.
Yeah,
I didn't
right.
even know.
It's so interesting. I mean, even the two groups, and particularly women, I have seen men in this space, but particularly women. So there's sort of these time frames that I tend to attract these women. So they're either pre-separation, so they probably haven't even said the words out loud. They're just not happy with their life. We start talking about, the areas that they want to work on, and then all of a sudden we're talking about their relationship, and they're saying to me, I don't think we'll be together in a few years. And then over time, that often happens. Sometimes they can repair, but often things are pretty far gone for people to say that out loud.
Yeah.
So often I'm talking to women at that stage where it's just sort of, they're just starting to talk about things and work through how that could work, and should we go to marriage counselling, and what would be the process, and really starting to think about logistics and impacts and that sort of stuff. And then there's almost a gap between women who have decided to separate and the divorce. So those women I don't tend to see, but then I see them almost post-divorce. So they get through, like you did, they get through the actions, all the admin and all the logistics and all the decision making, and there's so much.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, okay, now the world's my oyster.
What now?
Yeah, what now? What do I want my life to look like? Where do I want to live? Financially, how do I want to set myself up? What career do I want to do? Life looks really different post-divorce, and they want a bit of help sort of designing that and moving forward.
So hard because it's a loss of identity.
Oh, it's huge, right? There's lots of, like, so many relationships, not only your significant other, and often it's your co-parent who, that's a massive gap I find with people who divorce and have children together, is you don't have that ally anymore to help you parent or to chat things through, all that sort of stuff. But often, you're losing the sister-in-law that you loved, and maybe the father-in-law you were close to. There could be, friends you made together that are going with him and not with you. It's not just the couple that break up. There's a number of relationships that are impacted there.
Yeah, it's really difficult. It's interesting that you see women in those two stages, because I think, even personally, I'm interested to see what you think. If I'm really honest with myself, I mean, I shouldn't have even got married to him, but also that's real honesty.
Yep.
Never have gone there in the first place, but the fact that I was with him for like 8 years before we got married for a year, and then it ended. But I know, as a therapist now, I see people coming through the door, people were together for like 6, 8, 13, whatever years. When I say how long you've been thinking about this for, when they verbally say it out loud, they've been thinking about it for maybe 2 years. But 2 years prior, if they're really honest with themselves, or like me, they'll go, actually, within 6 months, we broke up and we probably should have stayed. Like, when you get back to the story, you get back to really sitting in where you notice that we don't honor ourselves in that respect. And I've done it. I'm so guilty of it. I was like, oh, it'll get better. It'll get better. Maybe we get married, it will get better. And then when people sit on it because of children, because of family traditions, because of cultures, because of everything, oh, I'll just stay and it'll get better. And they're like, oh, I'll probably leave in 2, 3 years. And then even when they decide to, it's still another good length of time. These decisions aren't just made in outside people tend to think, wow, you've left that marriage, or you got divorced quick. But really, it couldn't be further from the truth.
Absolutely. And I think, I mean, I'd have to look up the numbers, but I read a few months ago that women, I think, take about 3 years to leave. So from when they decide, consciously go, this is not working for me, and I will leave this one day, to leaving takes about 3 years. And that's often because of, financial concerns, because a lot of women, if they've had children, they've stepped out of the workforce, all sorts of things. Security, safety, they're thinking about what's best for the children. I've got my own view on that. I'm sure you will agree that staying in a crappy relationship is not best for the children.
It's no. When I have little
Absolutely.
people, when I see little people at their appointments and I talk to them about mum and dad, they know if you're happy or not.
Absolutely.
They read it off you. They know. They hear the conversations. They see the side eyes, the snippy remarks.
100%.
Your kids know.
Absolutely. And what's possibly worse, I think, is that you're modeling a toxic or negative or crappy relationship, and that will be their expectation when they get older, is that that's okay. And who wants that for their kids? But yeah, women tend to take 3 years to leave. And if a man decides to leave, it's like 3 months.
I thought it'd be way longer. Because you know how men shut off? And men just can be in a relationship and they just mentally, physically, emotionally shut off, but they just hang around. I'm surprised at that, actually.
No, I think it's from the conscious thought, though. This is not for me anymore, and I'm leaving.
Okay.
Yeah. So they might have been emotionally cut off for years.
Yeah.
But to actually make a decision, I'm going to leave, it's like 3 months. It's nuts. But when you look at society and the way we're built, women, crave safety and protection and think about other people. So they're concerned about impact on children and the partner and all sorts of things.
And can I say, people are so worried still what people are going to think.
Yes, particularly some cultures, some ages, absolutely. Some certain circles. Yeah, it depends where you're from. And again, that taps into your sense of self. If you're confident in yourself and you know what's important to you, you obviously will have more strength in stepping away rather than worrying what
it's
other
so
people
hard
think.
though. It's so hard because even though I knew with all my being it was wrong, and even when you sign those papers, I did ring him and be like, oh, should we give it? Oh my God, I kicked myself even asking that. Should we give it one more go? So
Wow.
I know that it is still hard to let it go when it shouldn't even have happened. So I can really empathize with those people that are like, I know it's bad, but I still want to hang on.
Yeah.
And again, that comes down to duty. It comes down to like my childhood, what I saw my parents. And so it comes down to a lot of things, but I really understand it. If people are hanging on in there or even when they still make the break, they can't make the break. I get it.
Yeah, I get it. And also, particularly as women, and this is probably more true earlier in relationships, but there's that whole thing around potential. We think this guy or this girl has so much potential, and
That's
people.
A red flag though, right?
Oh, 100%. And
I didn't know that.
Oh, it's like if they're not the right person in the honeymoon period when they're trying to impress you, I don't think it's going to improve. But yeah, these are things we learn,
Oh, but they've got, and especially with our personalities, obviously we do the job we do, right? So we've got potential.
Yeah.
And now I say, especially to my clients in the earliest 20s, how someone shows up in the beginning is the best they're ever going to be. Like
100%.
So if they don't reply, if they take 5 days to get back to you, that's the best they're ever going to be. It's not, they're not all of a sudden going to fall in love with you and message you all the time. So that's the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
The potential.
Wow. Yeah. And I think even like if you were, considering giving it another go, I think that plays a part. I think in our mind, we reflect on the positive stuff and on the, and it's like, oh, maybe we can get back to that.
We romanticize it. Yeah. And you forget all the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, we want to look at the highlights. We don't want to look at the other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, that's good. I'm so glad that you're there to help people through that hard time in their life. That's really tricky. And sometimes with divorce too, it's infidelity and there's other things going on. It's not sometimes just couples that have been together and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time there's always someone floating around.
It's it's really, that happens a
Like that.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and I think particularly nowadays, I mean, this is just based on what I see, but with the increase of social media and being able to get back in touch with your high school friends and, an ex-work colleague, and we're just so accessible,
I just don't have time for that. So good on people that have the time. I just think, where do you find the time? Me talking to a old guy that I used to date in my 20s. I couldn't think of anything worse. I'm too busy. Yeah, I mean, good on people. I'm glad that they have the time, but
Yeah, yeah,
but no, it's the accessibility, it's the ability to emotionally cheat. I say that,
yeah,
and then back in the day, you were unhappy, you'd have to go out and spend time face to face. But now all you can do is you can get your emotional cup filled with photos or with text messages and
yeah,
that dopamine hit.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot, and
And you can
that's
hide it. You can, a lot of people can really hide it. And then you can hide it further that if you get caught, I'm not giving anyone any tips here, but, oh, they're just a work friend or they're just a friend or sometimes guys, they have girls' names. Oh, it's a good, or people, there's so many things that you can, do to hide it.
yeah,
I'm not talking
yeah.
about that today.
No, that's a whole other podcast, isn't it?
Oh, no. But your own personal experience
Mm.
going through divorce and you have children, I don't. So, um, what's the biggest thing that as a therapist now when you're sitting on that side and you're helping someone through that's a mum with children,
Mm.
what's the biggest thing that you'd really like someone to know?
I think that there is light at the end of the tunnel and everyone will be okay. And you can actually shape things. You can design a life that you want and that you love. It's, I think this will sound like a really long time, but for me personally and for clients that I see, by about 5 years from separation, women are just like hitting their stride. They're glowing. They're living their best life. They may have made a career change. They may be in a relationship. They may not. They may have bought their own property by themselves. They might have got into running. These women 5 years post separation are just incredible. It's amazing to see. And really the world's your oyster. And I think the initial part of separation and divorce, particularly with children, is really challenging. You're trying to manage everyone else's emotions. You're trying to parent by yourself. You're trying to come up with an agreement, financial custody, etc., with someone who, you don't get along with anymore for whatever reason. It's really, really challenging. There's so much admin, changing address, changing Medicare cards, doing the divorce, doing the settle. Like the list never ends.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see past that. But I think knowing that once you've ticked all of that off, your life will be yours and you'll be able to make it look and feel how you want. Yeah.
I think it's hard for a lot of people because they worry about their children so much and how much it's going to affect their children. That's all that people like. I don't want it to affect or hurt my children.
Yeah.
And then also what they've got to manage is their kids or children, how many you've got, when they come back from mum or they come back from dad's, the attitude and the behavior and the different things that the other parent has put into their head. And then if there's another partner involved, and like that's where there's a lot of stuff that you're managing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And depending what your relationship with your ex is like, and sort of the logistics and the rules you've put in place, it can be challenging. But, I had a few rules for myself, and one of them is to never speak about the boy's dad in front of them. And I've stuck to that they don't need to know what I think or how I feel or anything negative, and that's certainly been very positive for them. Keeping them out of any logistics and any concerns. I mean, as they get older, they start to sort of see things for themselves, but as younger children, just protecting them from that sort of thing is really important. And I guess treating the other person the way you would want to be treated regardless. So one example for that, if we're going to get personal, is that my ex does not organise gifts for me from the children. So birthdays, Christmas, Mother's Day, etc. He doesn't take them shopping. He doesn't help them buy something from the stall at school.
Did he do that when you guys were together, or has he never done it? Oh,
he did. Yeah.
Interesting, right?
Yeah. He doesn't see that as his role anymore.
Okay.
But I do that for him. I take the boys shopping for birthday, Christmas, Father's Day, etc. And the reason I do it is because I want to show them how you love people. This is, it's Dad's birthday coming up. Let's go and choose something he'd love so you guys can give it to him. Let's make some cards. It's not about my relationship with him. It's about what I'm trying to teach my children, and it's about their relationship with him. They want to turn up to his place with a couple of gifts they've chosen and some cards they've made. Like, that's, what kids are like. They love that stuff, So I think a lot of it is behaving in a way that's true to yourself, not reacting to someone else's behaviour.
At times it's hard.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's you every day.
Absolutely. And I've made mistakes and I've done things that I would, if I could redo, I would do. But overall, I'm pretty proud of the way that I've handled it, because I've put them first all of the time. Instead of my issues with him being first, it's my children and how they walk through the world and how they feel. And if you do that, you're just winning. If every divorced couple did that and focused on the children as the priority, everyone would win, right?
A lot of people would just put I don't mean putting your kids first so you forget yourself. That's not what we're saying. It's more
not at all.
Yeah, especially in that divorce situation. Not having adult conversation, the simple things, not having an adult conversation around little ears.
Absolutely.
Because kids are so smart, and I tell you what, they know everything, and they're just because I would say any kid under 18 shouldn't hear any, personally, that's just my personal beliefs, shouldn't hear any type of adult conversation at all.
No, I agree. Yeah. And like you said, they're not dumb. You don't need to say names or be specific. They know who you're talking about. So protecting them from that's super important.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it's really hard. But it's good that you're there to help people see it, because when you're in it, it's really difficult. I'm going to talk about personal development. Have you always been into learning more about yourself, or is it something that through your divorce that you thought, oh, okay, now I need to know who I am? Or
look, it was before the divorce, and to be honest, it was probably, getting more self-confidence and understanding who I was and what sort of life I wanted to live was part of the reason for the divorce. But when I was younger, I certainly didn't want to look at myself. I didn't like myself. I had no confidence, no self-esteem. I wasn't interested in, it was all about the outside world. It wasn't about me. And because it's difficult, right? Once you start that stuff and you're looking inward, and it's like,
oh, no. Yeah.
Why did I react like that? Why do I behave like that? Why do I think this? Why,
it's so easy not to do it.
100%. 100%. But I think I've probably been doing it in an active way for about 10 years, maybe. Yeah, I reckon about 10 years. And it's little things and it's big things. So it's, listening to podcasts and reading books and buying a self-study course online, and it's going to seminars, and it's seeing a psychologist, and, journaling and asking myself difficult questions. But Yeah, I'd say probably 10 years I've been actively looking at myself and trying to improve the way I see the world and the way I walk through the world.
Mm. I mean, with the job that we do need to, there is an aspect of hours that we have to do professional development and learn things. But I think as individuals, it's good to, I think it's a good thing to learn about things. And it can be anything. Like for me, I'm learning all about lymphatic drainage massage and learning that how to help people through their, like how it's energy stored in the body, and you learn that, and then you go down a rabbit hole and learn something about nutrition, and then you learn something about energetics, and you learn something about meditation, and then you like it's kind of, there's so much out there.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like even 10 years ago, I don't think podcasts were around then.
No.
And we live in this age where you can get so much information for free, and you can learn so much and follow people, and there's really, when I say there's no excuse, that sounds a bit harsh, but we've all got stuff to work on, and we've all got improvements we can make, and there's so much out there that people can access. It's just incredible.
Yeah, and I think it's incredible too, because a lot of people are more open. Even the fact that you and I are sharing some personal stuff too and disclosing that, it makes the world a easier place to live in. When you see someone that has been through something, you don't feel alone. I think that's a huge thing, as people are talking more about, I don't know about you, but how many times in your life, in general, like as a kid and growing up, and you're talking to someone and they share something with you and you look at them and you think, oh my God, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea you're going through this, you've been through this, or wow, I didn't know that was your story.
Everyone, right? Whether you meet someone at a party or at a cafe or a client or a friend, or there's so much going on for people. And I find people just fascinating, the way we behave, the way we react, the way we grow and don't grow. And it's so interesting.
Oh yeah, it is definitely. One thing that you do work a lot with your clients and what you believe in your business is three things: clarity, intention, and reflection.
So I through all of my personal development, there's obviously, I've done lots of different stuff. I walked on fire with Tony Robbins. And
oh, have you?
Yeah, that was amazing.
Hang on, we can't fast forward. Like, how was that?
Oh, incredible. So I went to his, I've actually done UPW, which is the first one, and then I did Date with Destiny as well, which was amazing. That's more of a personal deep dive. But yeah, the fire walk was amazing, and everyone's different, but I got heaps out of that. Just saying, there's something here that's scary and seems crazy.
Yeah.
And learning to manage your mind to make a decision to do it and then to physically follow through. That's like, I've got this ability now. If someone said, right, we're going skydiving, and I was like, okay, yep, I want to do skydiving, I'm in. Like, I'll be terrified, but I won't hesitate. I won't change my mind. I'm very good now at making a decision and following through. And I really think I got those skills from doing that fire walk.
Did you feel it?
Look, it's hot. And afterwards I had a few tiny burns on my toe, because as you're walking, obviously your toes are moving, so little bits of coal are getting stuck in there. And you stamp your feet out at the end, and you go into like a water bath and stuff. But it was barely anything. Like, honestly, it's
adrenaline, right?
Oh, adrenaline, and he teaches you how to do it without injuring yourself. Like, it's probably like a, I don't know, 4-hour process to get your brain ready. You physically sort of step through what you're going to do. He tells you exactly what to expect, what to focus on, and then you do it. And it sounds mad to people, I know, but
not at all. I think it's awesome. And this is not going to be a Tony Robbins podcast, but I'm just curious to know, because I haven't met him in person. I mean, he's a gentle giant, isn't he? He's massive.
He's huge. Yeah.
And what what is it like being in the same room as him? Because I think he's a very powerful human being.
Absolutely electric. Like it's indescribable. It is incredible. And the way he gets his point across and the way he can speak about certain topics and get you to work through things is just incredible. I mean, he's been doing it all his life. He's an expert. He's amazing. But yeah, UPW, I think you're in that room for like 16 hours some days. And there's, it's in a stadium. There's barely any food or, not that you're starved, you can access food, but it's 16 hours. You're up and you're dancing and you're doing activities and you're working on yourself and you're just totally energized the whole time. It's just incredible. I'd highly recommend going to UPW to anyone.
I've done some online stuff with him and Dean. Dean. But yeah, every time I just think, and he's not young anymore either.
No, he's in his 60s, isn't he? Like mid.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, it's just someone that I just think, wow, it's amazing what human beings can do when they, literally put their mind to it. So going back to the clarity and the attention and the reflection.
we'll leave Tony.
Yeah. Shout out to Tony. Come on our podcast, come and have a chat with me and Laura.
We'd love that.
Welcome. Please.
We'd love that anytime.
Imagine that.
Oh,
fucking awesome, wouldn't it?
Amazing. I guess my point was that I've done all sorts of different things and I've tweaked so many different things in my life, but I would say that clarity, intention and reflection for me are the things that are life-changing. And when I work with clients, I see that too. So clarity is around understanding who you are and what you want from life. And that can be, days and days of work, or it can be a 5-minute sort of visualization. These things can be as big or as small as you want. I find intention is super important. So obviously if we don't have a plan or don't have a goal or don't have an intention to work towards, we just don't. It's easier to stay in our comfort zone. It's easier just to be on the treadmill of life. So if we have an intention to, I don't know, turn our phone off and go to bed at 10 o'clock every night, if you actually have an intention, you're more likely to follow through. What's that saying around if you fail to plan,
you plan to
fail. Yeah. It's like if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. So
that's really common. That's common for a lot of people.
Totally.
When you say, when they say, I'm not happy with my job, well, tell me more about what you want to do as a career. What hobbies do you like? Or what plan have you got in the next 2 years? Or what do you want to see in a partner? Oh, no.
No. There's the feeling around being disconnected and unhappy with something, but a lot of people, and it's our society, right? Like it's fast paced. There's a lot of distraction, particularly, all of us do it. There's difficult thoughts and conversations and we go to scrolling or drinking or smoking or Netflixing or whatever, instead of dealing with stuff. So I feel like if people get clarity around something, they have intention around it. And again, it doesn't have to be some project plan with all these milestones. It's just, this is what I want and this is what I'm aiming for. And then reflection. And I sort of see it as a bit of a cycle or a circle, in that you got to constantly reflect on it. Do I still, the clarity, do I still want what I thought I wanted? And the intention, am I still headed in that direction? Is the path, different? Do I actually want a different outcome? We evolve as people, and what we want today may not be the same as what we want in a few months. So for me, it's about figuring out who you are and what you want from life, having a plan in place to get there. So I'm going to move my body each day, or I'm going to start studying to change my career, whatever it is. And then a reflection. So is this working for me? Do I need to change the path? Is my intention still the same? And for me, they're the keys that keep me, I can honestly say I love my life. And they're the 3 things that really hold it together and make sure that I'm continuing to move forward in life. And that's what I see with clients as well. As soon as they get clarity around what they want and have a plan, they're just off. They just,
I think the reflection is really important too, because it comes from you. So a lot of people, people pleasers, overthinkers, we do things because that's our values. Like this is a good job. This is what a good wife or husband looks like. This is what I should be doing. But it takes it away from what you want to do. So reflection, I think, is a really good for people to be like, okay, how is this feeling with me? Am I happy with it? Rather than it being an external thing.
Absolutely. And I think, like you're saying, it's for the forward propulsion. So if you're working towards something, you can reflect and say, is that what I really want? And, all the rest of it. But I think even in day to day, I think the reflection for my personal growth and relationships and emotional intelligence, I think that's where I've grown the most, is through reflection, because it might be a conversation I've had with someone that I love and I walk away and it doesn't feel good, and I can either numb that, ignore that, keep barreling through life, or I can stop for a minute and say, okay, what happened there that I'm not feeling good about? And how did I contribute to that? Because it's never one-sided. So whether it's boundaries, whether it's the way you're being treated, whether it's a dynamic or logistics or whatever it is, reflecting on, just stopping and reflecting on things that have happened that don't sit well, and then you can tweak them going forward.
I think a lot of the time when we reflect, when we have a conversation or something happens, we don't feel good. A lot of the time I think it comes from a place where we give so much, because it's boundaries almost. We give so much and we almost want to mind read what people are thinking back. We mind read, they should be doing this, or they should be doing that. But a perfect example to give to you before we start wrapping up is I had a divorce-proof marriage coach from Texas on my podcast yesterday.
Okay.
Really interesting thing she said, and I was like, wow, I've never said that in a relationship. And I'm like, she said, how many couples, a worldwide global example, a wife, this is just a normal husband and wife, couple, wife saying to husband, can you please put the rubbish out?
Yep.
Right? And the wife just going, oh my God, you're doing my head in. It's been sitting there for 3 days. I've told you, why can't you do it? And she explained the whole thing, that we have our own timelines. And when we ask someone to do something, we don't give them the full information. So guys men need information to be able to do something with it. So she said, how about if you said something like, can you put the rubbish out tomorrow morning before you go to work? Pop it on the curb because the rubbish truck guy is coming tomorrow.
Yep.
And she said, you better believe it will be done.
Yeah.
And I was like, that makes sense.
It is interesting, isn't it? It's adding context for people and not just assuming that they are on your timeline or understand your timeline. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's such a powerful thing. And I think that whole clarity, intention, reflection is I love that. It's like a powerful trio that you can really use in every aspect of your life.
Absolutely, yeah. It's about goal setting and where you want to be. It's about relationships. It's about, how you respond, why you're triggered. And that's why I love it, because it's just, to me, it just became so obvious that if I prioritized those things, everything improved massively,
So if someone's listening to this and they feel lost, don't know who they are, they feel stuck, obviously we're going to give them your details in a minute, but I think starting off by being clear, what's going on, what do you want, what happening, first of all. I think just the self-awareness piece.
Absolutely. And I've actually got a tool that I use myself and clients use, and it's a clarity quiz, and basically it takes 5 minutes. And you go through and you just rate certain areas of your life and, not compared to other people, but compared to where you want them. And then you can easily see that, because what I see with a lot of my clients, and I know we've talked about this before, is particularly women, will come with just a huge mess of issues. So, you know, everything's going wrong. I'm not happy with any aspect of my life, my relationship, my kids, my parenting, my career, my fitness, my health, you know, and they just don't know where to start. Sometimes it's that paralysis. And I get them to do this quiz, and it becomes really obvious that one or two things are totally out of control, and they're the ones they need to address first. And so they get that clarity that I'm going to take action towards this one or two things. They get some momentum, they get some confidence in themselves, and then things just start improving massively. So I've got a quiz if people want to use that. And that's just at my website, which is laurapetrie.com.au. But yeah, clients use it and I use it myself. It's so quick and easy, and it just provides so much clarity so quickly.
Oh, I think we will all, I might go do it myself. Look at that.
Yeah, you should.
I know. So, you know, if anyone, you work with people in Australia?
Yeah, I've worked with people overseas as well. I've got a client in New Zealand at the moment. So yeah, I'm online and also work in Malvern if people are local and want to do an in-person session. So yeah, if they go to my website, laurapetrie.com.au, all the info's there. They can organise a 15-minute call if they want to sort of figure out if we vibe first, or they can just go straight through and book a session. And it's super easy.
Yeah, and you're on Instagram too.
I'm on Instagram, Laura Petrie Counsellor. Yeah. So,
cool.
But yeah, everything's linked on the website. So jump there first, and then you can go wherever you need to, really.
Yeah, thank you so much for this chat today of really explaining, like, and I think also it's nice to have another counsellor on here for people just to hear us talking, like we're normal people and we're here to help and we're not scary. And I mean, there's so many different stereotypes of therapists.
Absolutely.
I mean, I look like I've been dragged through a bush backwards today, but I'm not a clinical therapist by all means. And I think you have your own style too, which I really love. I think it's really important for people to understand that counselors and therapists, whatever you want to call it, there's someone for everyone, but it's not what you see on the movies. We're not going to get you to lie on a couch. I don't know. Do you get people, actually, I shouldn't speak for you. Do you get people to lie on the couch or anything?
No.
Okay. I thought I'd just ask. Might be one of your techniques.
Not yet. Not yet. No. And I think, I mean, that's something really interesting is people might not know, but with counselling and with therapy, the number one success factor with getting support and moving through issues or moving ahead with your life, it's not how qualified the person is that you're seeing. It's not that a psychologist or a counsellor or a mental health worker is better. It's actually the connection you have with your therapist. So if you get the right person and the right fit, your success rate is hugely high, no matter what their qualification, their modality, how they work, if it's online, if it's in person, if it's walk and talk. So finding the right person, and we're so lucky these days with social media and this sort of thing, people can check out a wide range of therapists and go, okay, that person seems to be my person. So it's, it's fantastic.
Yeah, you've got to find your person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you're definitely going to be part of my referral network, because it's really important that people don't realise that as a therapist, we don't take everyone on. There's been clients that I've seen, I've gone, actually, I don't think I'm, even though they've been like, no, I want you to see me, whatever the subject was or wherever they were at, I've referred them on. And it's nice to be able to, again, meet you and have you in my back pocket, because there's definitely, areas of expertise that we all have.
Yeah. And like you said, it could be areas of expertise, or it could just be the fit. And a good therapist will make that assessment and sometimes redirect people, not just take anybody on. And I certainly do the same.
Yeah, that's really part. Oh, thank you so much for spending some time with me today and sharing. It's so important that more of us get out there and talk about what we do. And sometimes I feel like it's one-sided when it comes from me, because therapy changed my life. And it sounds like, of course you're going to say that because that's what you do for a job. But the results I see in people and how it helps people when we're in such a world where we all feel alone. We can be surrounded by a lot of people, but we can feel alone. So thank you for coming on here today, for more people to find out who you are and to be connected in that way.
Oh, it's been so good connecting with you. I love our chat. So we'll definitely have to do it again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope this conversation has added value to your self-care journey and inspired positive changes in your life. If you enjoyed this episode, consider sharing it with a friend who might benefit from this episode. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or on your favourite podcast platform to stay up to date on future episodes. Your support means the world to me. I genuinely love hearing from you, so please take a moment to leave a review. Let me know which part of today's episode resonated with you the most. Your feedback guides the direction of this podcast, and I really appreciate each and every single one of you for being a part of this community. To fall in love with yourself is the first secret to happiness. To find out a bit more about the Studio Chat podcast, head over to my Instagram page, Studio Chat Podcast, or if you want to find out a bit more about my counselling private practice, head over to Instagram on self_care_studio. Or head over to my website, selfcarebybarbarathompson.com.au. I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. Until next time, take care of yourselves and keep embracing the journey of self-discovery.